Thank you. I'm chairperson and founder member of the Carers Association in the European Parliament. In fact, I founded this association with Cathy Sinnott during the last mandate, but Cathy unfortunately wasn't re-elected. However, I have continued to chair this association and to continue to put carers' issues on the agenda, both here at European level and at home at national level. Just very briefly at European level, some of the issues that I've been involved in and some of the areas where I've been working. First of all, let me say that 7 or 8 years ago, the word carer hardly appeared in European legislation or in European documents. It was a word that was largely absent. But over the last number of years, the carers interest group and other MEPs and myself have worked very closely together to try to ensure, with, I might add, a lot of success, that carers are now one of the recognised groups and their name features in various pieces of European legislation. And just to give you an example of how that works, I'll take 2 examples, both that I've been involved with myself. First of all, I'm in charge of the fund called the Globalisation Fund. I lead for that in the Parliament. And one of the amendments that I successfully got through the entire process through the Parliament and the Council, and it's now in the final legislation, is the fact that carers, specifically as a group, can access extra help if, for example, they want to access training or education under the Globalisation Fund. They will get help to do that. But if they're a carer or if they have care responsibilities, they can get extra help to allow them to access the training and education under the Globalisation Fund. In other words, they won't be disadvantaged because they're a carer. That mightn't affect more than 100 people in Ireland at any given time. But what it means is that because you're a carer won't mean that you wouldn't be able to access the Globalisation Fund. Another area where I was successful in helping carers was about 3 years ago in a particular budget line. I included carers in a list of groups that could access funding under something called Progress. We managed to get that through budgets, through the Parliament, and it was finally agreed. And this year, Eurocarers, which is the European umbrella group representing carers that, mind you, I might add, I work with very closely here in the Parliament, and the Caring for Carers and the Carers Association in Ireland are both affiliated with Eurocarers. Indeed, Irish people have been president of Eurocarers. Bridget Barron, in fact, is a founder member and was its first president. And Eurocarers have now accessed a significant amount of funding under the Progress programme. Now, I'm not claiming that I was responsible for that or fully responsible. Obviously, they had to put in a good bid, etc., and they did, and they fully deserve their funding. But I had ensured that in the list of groups that could access that funding, carers were represented, which meant that made it easier for the carers group to get funding. So those are practical ways that I have helped carers and their association in the Parliament. Also, we have launched a carers charter in the Parliament, which we will try to get accepted European-wide. And I organise regular visits for carers to the Parliament to meet the Commissioner and to lobby on behalf of carers to ensure that their situation is taken into consideration when we're dealing with European legislation, whether it be in the area, for example, of sustainable and decent pensions or funding for their organisations. I make every effort to lobby for carers. But of course, as well as European level, I am actively involved at national level also, because I believe, and I think most people would agree, our societies wouldn't function as they do without carers. I mean, our health system would collapse, our social welfare system would collapse. I mean, our hospitals would be overrun without carers. And most people end up caring and they never expected to care. In other words, it's something that often happens suddenly, unexpectedly, and people have no choice. But people get on with it and they live their lives as best they can. And it is therefore hugely important that the state would support carers, because at the end of the day, carers support the state. And I just thought it would be interesting to let you know how much carers saved the state in Ireland. Back in 2006, there was a question on the census, and based on that, there was an estimate of how much money carers saved the state. Now, that figure is out of date and it would be more at this stage, but I still think it's worth quoting for you how much carers in each county saved the state. So, in Leitrim, they saved the state 18 million. In Longford, it's 23 million. In Monaghan, it's 34 million. In Galway, it's 145 million. In Laois, it's 41. In Roscommon, 42. In Sligo, 39. In Cavan, 42. In Offaly, 44. And the same in Westmeath, 44. In Louth, 67. In Mayo, 89. In Donegal, 100. In Meath, 85. And in Kildare, 95 million euro. Taken as the entire country, that is approximately 4 billion euro per year. Those are huge sums of money, and that is how much carers save the state. Therefore, the state needs to support carers through proper respite care so that carers can have some sort of a life and live their lives in some sort of a way that allows them to care, but equally to ensure that carers allowance, carers benefit, whatever, that those who are entitled to it get it immediately. Because I come across so many situations where carers are constantly appealing and reappealing decisions that are made, and they're made to wait months and months and months for what they're entitled to in the first place. So whether it's at European level or whether it's at national level, carers remain one of my top priorities.